How's it going, everyone? I'm going to show you how I did this transition and how you can too. So for this transition, let's just start from the scratch and let me get my two clips and make a new composition. So just based off the keyframes you can see here, I am speed ramping these two clips together. So technically it'd be like this, and I'm speed ramping them together with the same flow. So you can see that this clip is coming out from the wheel, right? It does a double speed ramp where it comes out again. And then below that, we have the same type of flow where this will come out and then come out one more. So normally I'd have my project like this, where it would just be keyframes like this and it'd just be the next clip. It'd be a normal speed ramp to speed ramp. But to go from this to that transition is quite easy. So I'll show you from the scratch. So I'll delete everything and I'm go ahead and enable my time remapping. So enable, and honestly, Essential Effects comes in so handy with this type of effect. So I'm going to be using that to show you how it's done properly. All right, so let's start with speed ramping the first clip. So let's say we want it to go in. We want it to go in again. We'll pretty much max it out. And then we're going to have it come out. Not all the way, but enough. Extend it, and we're going to have it come out again. So you can do as much as you want for the speed ramping here, but this is how I'll do it. And then we have our next clip. So what we're going to do is we need to align our keyframes together. So for a double speed ramp, I'm going to bring this all the way to the first speed ramp. And since we're coming out, I'm going to make sure that this clip is also going to be coming out. So we'll start from the first frame. So here's good. Second keyframe, we're going to line them up. We're going to go out. Maybe not too much. And then we'll go one more. And we'll go out again. Right here. And then I'll continue my speed ramp, so it'll probably just go back in. And then we can have it transition out however we want, or however you want the transition to go. So I'll just have it go back out right here. All right, so this is the main basis of what we're going to be using. I'm going to be using Essential Effects. So I'm going to select these. I'm going to click one of my presets, which is the Start preset. Basically, this is adjusting the graph. So right now, I'm just adjusting the X coordinates. So let me set this back to nothing. So these are all at 0. So if I open the graph, you can see they're pretty linear graphs. There's no smoothness or flow on it. I'll play it for you. So this is before the graphs and Essential Effects. It's literally nothing. It's nothing useful. All right, so let's start with this first clip. Let's just speed ramp this first. So what I like to do is just get my starting points. So I'm just going to go and use my preset, which is Y0, and X, we can go around 70 to 80. So it'll just get the sharpness. I also need to make sure I enable sync. If I don't enable sync, that means that this will not be aligned, the interpolation will not be matched. So if I press sync and then I press apply, it will sync it. So I'm going to do that first, apply, and then my first and last keyframes. Just for now, I'm going to put first last, my preset, which is 0x, 0y. So it basically brings them all the way out. Now that we have the basis of the speed ramp, I can go ahead and adjust this as I need. For example, if you want to continue using the speed ramp controller, you can set your X value and change your Y just slightly enough to get a little bit of a tilt, depending how much you want. So this is good for me, and it's going to give me a basis to work with. So now I'm going to start doing this, and we're going to pretend that keyframes or the beat points are right here. So I'm going to go ahead, mark these. We'll have the transition right here, and we'll have one right here. Perfect. So now let me just get my graph set up so I can have right around here and right around here. And then right here is where the clip is going to begin the transition, pretty much almost end the transition here. So I'm not going to go like this, I'm going to go like this, because this part is not going to be necessary. We want the speed to happen right here on this marker. So to visualize it, you can see here, the speed is right at the finalization of the transition. Now we can work on our second clip. We go ahead and select those, open the graph, same thing, sync, X, apply, first and last, set that, and I'm ready to go. So now I'm going to match the graphs and I'm going to do the same thing. So 1 is where the transition is starting. So remember, we're going to flatten this out and we're going to have the transition come in here because we want to speed ramp while it's transitioning. So if you can see right here, this part is just going to be the transition. You won't see this clip yet as much. So might as well save that footage and speed ramp right here. As in, keep it flat where it's not moving and then it speed ramps. Now we're going to do the same thing for the 4 point. Adjust this. Get it nice and sloped right here. And then right here is where it's pretty much transitioned fully to the next clip. So we don't need to worry about these right now, but for now I'll do this. Okay, now that we have our speed ramp set up, let me play it. Alright, so we have this going for us. Alright, so now what we need to do is we need to get this all rotor brushed out and have this as the main transition point. So what I like to do is I'll duplicate my layer, crop the bottom one, so Alt left, bracket, and then the top one, Alt right bracket. So now I have a fresh, clean layer that I'm going to go ahead and pre-compose. The reason I'm pre-composing it is because I don't want the keyframes on this. So if I press U, you can see there's no keyframes, which gives me a clean palette to work with. You need to keep in mind, once you do this, you can't adjust these keyframes. You can adjust these, but you can't adjust these because they won't match or line up anymore. Now that we have this, we need to get our rotor brush. So I'm going to duplicate it one more time, and the bottom layer is going to be my matte. So I'm going to click my rotor brush, double click my layer, and let's just go ahead and select just the wheel. The reason we're selecting just the wheel is because there's a trick I use where you don't need to mask what exactly is coming in, as in we want all of this to come into frame, not the wheel yet, but this is just an easier, more efficient way. So we'll go ahead and rotor brush that, check my points right down here, make sure that I can see the points, make sure it's keeping the wheel pretty much a circle. The new rotor brush does a great job at this, so this shouldn't be such a big deal. Alright, so this is good. I'm going to go ahead and press freeze now. Now that we have our rotor brush layer, you technically don't need to duplicate first, so I'm just going to delete that just to show you how I really actually do it in real time. So now we have our wheel, which is not what we want, but the speed ramps are locked in and they look great. So we're going to go ahead and duplicate this. We're going to set our mask layer to a different color so you can pretty much tell which color that is or which layer that is. And now we're going to go to our duplicate layer, which is this. Delete the rotor brush because we don't need it anymore. Now that we have this as the main mask. Now we're going to use the feature track matte. If you don't see it, click these buttons down here, or you can click toggle switches. I just like to have them all open because it's easier. Now I'm going to go to the matte, and I'm going to click the pick whip and select it to my orange layer, or you can select it like this. Now this is matte to only this mask, in which we can invert it right here next to the track matte. Boom. So now it's inverted, and now we have the total opposite of what we wanted, which is actually exactly what we wanted. And now you need to know when we scale this, because we're going to want this scaled out and then come in, correct? You need to scale it with your mask layer as well, because if you don't, you'll see that it's not going to get that mask anymore. So to select these both, press S, keyframe scale, right here on the speed ramp points. This is the main feature, speed ramp points, because we want them to be in sync. Now that this is on the keyframe points, we'll go to the beginning. This is our original, which we'll actually put to the end because we want it to be done at the last transition. So we'll start at the beginning. I'm going to zoom it in to where you can't see it anymore. Right here is good. I'm going to go to my next key point. I'm going to select right here and make another keyframe because this is the halfway mark. So we're going to get one in and one more out. So this is pretty much the flow. And now here's where Essential Effects really comes into handy. You can select your keyframes, and we need these all to be synced together. If you don't sync them together, it's not going to look properly. So instead of normally doing the graph, let's say we easy ease these, and then you go in the graph and you manually do it like this, and then you have to do it again for this. All you need to do is select them, set the similar value to our speed ramp, 0 and around 75, and press apply. Now they're all synced together with the speed ramp. You see, as this is coming out, the bottom layer speed ramping, that's because we set it up to match everything we just did. So let me press play before I get more into depth of this to show you what it did. See how flawless that came out because it's matching our speed ramp graphs. Once again, it's so easy when you just use the X value and press apply. And of course, you can adjust it as needed. Say if you want this one to be a little bit more delayed because the center point's not right here, you can just lower the X value, press apply, and I'll show you what it looks like on the graph. So right here, I can adjust a single keyframe, multiple keyframes, as many as you want. So if I want it to be exactly on this point, I kind of can ballpark it and estimate it's right around 60. So you can see these slopes at 60 when originally all our keyframes were 75. So I know that 65 is pretty much good for me, and I'm gonna select my other point, both layers, and press apply. So now they are synced together. Now we need to do our wheel. So we're gonna duplicate our top layer, which is gonna be the same exact thing we have already, but now you need to go to your mask layer, copy that rotor brush, and paste that rotor brush onto this layer. I'll show you why in a second. Now we need to remove the inverse. So when you remove the inverse, the wheel is back. So now we can do some rotations, scales, whatever we want. But if you don't have the rotor brush, you will get the full clip. So it's important to make sure you put that rotor brush on this top layer. So now we can do some rotations. So you no longer need these scale points. You can go ahead and delete this. Now that we have this, I'm going to go ahead and do the scale for the second part, or even a rotation. So I'll rotate it, put my original rotation at the end, press P for position, move my position because I want it out of frame. And then I'll go to the end, reset my position. And make sure my rotation's at 0. Cool. And I'll go ahead and do the same thing, press U for my keyframes, and I'm going to apply the 65 to it. If you want it to match perfectly with the sizing, you can go ahead and copy the scale from these. To show you, I'll just copy the scale, paste it here, and we just need to adjust our position. But since I don't want to start till here, I can trim this layer, delete that keyframe, and just move it a little bit more so it's out of frame. Now we have the full transition. I can even do some more rotations in this. And I'll enable motion blur so we get a nice little motion blur. And almost pretty much done. Let me show you what we're at now, and we're almost done with this transition. Cool. Now that it's done, let's touch up the edges right here. You can see a little bit of sharp edges, which you don't want. You can go ahead and open your rotor brush, which is on the matte layer, and you can just increase that and soften it up. You can also change the shift edge if you want less of the pink, which in this case I do. So right here is pretty much good. And there's your transition. If you want to get even crazier with it, we can do some crazy rotations. So let's talk about the rotations. So now we can rotate all these clips together. So let me select all these layers, press R, keyframe rotation. We can ignore the top one since we don't want to mess with it, so I'm just going to close that. Now we have rotations. Put my original rotation at the end, and let's rotate it. So I'm going to go to a point where I can see the actual clip, and then I'll move the keyframes back to the beginning. But let's do a rotation like this. You want the rotation to match your other clip, so it just seamlessly works properly. So now I'm going to put these keyframes to the beginning. So we have a rotation, rotation. Just like we did with the scale, I'm going to go in the center because I have my original value here. So that means it is keyframed and moving. So now I can keyframe my rotation once again. And it's going to rotate with the speed ramp. We're going to select all our points, adjust it on Essential Effects, press apply, and now they are all synced. I'll adjust these two back to 65 like I wanted. And now we have a rotation as well as the full transition. If you want to exaggerate it, you can increase the rotation as much as you want. There you go. And if you want to continue that rotation, a little trick I like to do is make an adjustment layer. If you want to learn more, you can learn more on my website. I do have video editing courses. I've taught over 600 members to date right now, so it's always increasing. And if you really want to get in depth, learn After Effects, and learn insane tricks just like this one, I am always updating the courses and helping my members at all times. So we'll go ahead, trim the layer size, make an adjustment layer on top, go to my effects, and I'm going to use the transform effect. I'm going to click on rotation and probably scale as well. So we'll just do uniform scale, scale, open my keyframes. Let's match it to our speed ramp keyframes, which we already did, so it makes it easy. So let's say we're done with the rotation here. I want to continue the rotation. So let's go here, adjust my rotation. Let's see if this is the right rotation that I want to do. Okay, we'll try that. And then we'll have it go back out. So set it back to 0. Same thing, you can just select these. You can either use the workflow X adjustment, or you can use the new remapping feature. So you can just go right here and adjust it. If you want to get a little bit different with the actual movements, you can also play with the Y, and it will adjust it accordingly and give it a different type of flow, even smoother than just the X coordinate on the graphs. So now these are synced. Last thing I'm going to do is the scale. I should have done that first, but I want to get the edges as cropped as possible. So we'll just do this, and then I'll set the original scale back at the end. Same thing, select these, apply, so they're all in sync together. Now let's play what we have now. Cool. Looks good. You can just go ahead, add motion tile to this, put your values, and we can touch up the edges so you no longer have black bars. It's kind of weird to do this without a song, but I just wanted to show you how this transition is done, and the best way to do it, starting from scratch. You don't even need a song. That's how you do this transition. Likewise, Essential Effects, Essential SFX, Essential Shake are all available on my website, and I am putting a lot of love and effort into these, making updates for all the members. So these are available for you now. I have my sound effects, which I will do in another video because this is a brand new update and there's so many more features on here. But for now, I hope you learned something, and if you want to learn more, comment down below or check out my website.